Hey guys, Georgeazoid over here. Welcome to another unboxing episode. This time, the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. Now, I've had this for about a week now, roughly. I've been meaning to open it because, well, quite frankly, I got my replacement. Yeah, replacement. We'll talk more about that later, but I got my replacement and I've been meaning to use it. But because I've started this whole unboxing thing here on YouTube, I decided to wait to do it with you. Now, like all my other unboxings, I have a huge list of unboxings to do that I've been meaning to do, and I wanted to have them on Twitch. It took me several months to get a setup going that made sense in order for me to do things like craft streams and unboxings, so like painting, building, etc., so on and so forth. When I finally made it, you might have seen the Wraith video, and, it was okay, but we have since upgraded. I'm sure you could see the difference between the stuff that we were doing when I first started my unboxings to where we're at now. I think it looks a lot better, and I promised that I was going to continue to increase everything and just make it better. And well, here we are. So truthfully, I did open this box already. Now, I don't feel bad about doing this because this is not the first time I've opened this box before, so I already know what to expect. You won't necessarily see my initial reactions when I first hold it, which I did have a slightly different reaction. But I still wanted to show you the unboxing experience regardless, because there's not much different other than the fact that I've already torn the little tape right over here. So you can see it's already coming off. There's like tape that comes over here. You just peel it and it's really neat. Anywho, I've opened quite a few boxes in my life, and especially Apple ones. And if you've ever opened an Apple product, you know that the unboxing is extremely well thought out. It does feel kind of like an experience or a journey, really, from beginning to end. And I've noticed that more companies have been doing this, where they've made their product unboxing experience nicer. And well, Microsoft is one of them. They started this years ago. I wouldn't say with the Xbox One when it first came out. It was still a very traditional unboxing experience. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, but it was just very traditional. Just, you open a lot of cardboard. It wasn't, well thought out. They were just putting things together. Since then, they have adjusted and I guess maybe realized that there's something to this, and there's people that really enjoy this process, and I'm one of them, and maybe you are too. But this is the first time I'm doing one of Microsoft in front of you guys. I hopefully will be able to do more in the future and even show you other unboxing experiences where they're not as good in the future, so that you can see the difference as well. But I've opened a Xbox One S. I've opened two of them actually. I've opened a One X. All of them were nice experiences. The Series X was amazing. So well designed, that whole opening process. It was amazing. It really was. I've done a Surface Book, a Surface Pro, and a couple other products, and they've all been great. Honestly, the Surface Book and the Pro were both really, really nice. Anywho, so let's go ahead and get to it. Again, I've already opened it. There's not much I could do about that. The video had issues. There was issues, and I couldn't do anything about it. But here we are, take two. So it's pretty straightforward. This is the box right over here. Nice little art. Now, I will say the cover art looks a little different, particularly this part right over here. I've had one before and it did not look like this. In fact, when I was at the Best Buy store, they even had more than one version. So what I mean by that is they had boxes with this kind of font or this styling here. And then they had boxes with what I presume is the original styling. I'm pretty sure this is the new styling, which leads me to believe, without doing research, that they've updated the Series 2 Elite, which is extremely possible because Xbox did that with the Xbox One controller. They had updated from the original, like day one versions to later on. And then they did another update again later on. So I'm not surprised. Now, something to know is that here, for example, this is the exact controller that came with my Series X. No paddles or anything like that. That's expected. It does feel nice, and the buttons do feel extremely different from the Xbox One controller. What I am going to say is that this came out before the Series X and the Series S, meaning that this controller here, its foundation, is the Xbox One controller. Now, if you've had an Xbox One controller, you know that there's been some kind of quality issues with them, particularly with the stick drift for either of the sticks. but also notably the bumpers tend to like break for a lot of people, either completely like snap off or just stop responding altogether. I personally haven't had issues with the bumpers myself. I imagine some people do. You know, truthfully have taken care of all of my controllers. I don't break any of my controllers. All my controllers always have worked great. I still have my Day 1 Edition controller from 2013, and it's great. It works great. I retired the controller. It's no longer in use because somehow I managed to survive years with no issue whatsoever. But I've come to realize that some people treat their controllers differently, and maybe they're a little... Man, it's hard because I'm issuing partial blame to the user as well, right? I think it's both sides, right? I think it's the company's quality control, simultaneously the user. Because I have so many Xbox controllers, and I have not experienced this. But for example, there was one time my only Xbox controller to ever get damaged. I had people over, and I let this one person try out the controller because it was so badass. Like, it was so amazing. But I let this person try it, and they played it all night. I think they were playing Battlefield that night, or maybe Street Fighter, one of the two. And by the end of those like 2 or 3 hours that they were playing on the controller, the right bumper stopped responding. And that's when I realized this dude is really rough with their controllers. Like, they press really, really hard. And like, I've been lifting most of my life. I'm a fairly decently strong guy. I have good grip, I have good strength, I can lift, I can push, I can pull, etc., so on and so forth. I don't break my controllers, and I'm pretty strong. I am definitely stronger than the average person. Am I the strongest guy in the world? Absolutely not. There's people half my age way stronger than me. But against the average person, I do feel that I am stronger, and I don't damage my controllers. I've noticed I'm pretty good about taking care of my things. So do consider me on the extreme end of being excellent at controlling their stuff or taking care of their stuff versus some of the other people on the opposite end of the spectrum. So because it's an Xbox One foundational controller, the base is an Xbox One controller, these are way more prone to damage. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Let's start with the unboxing, and then I'll finalize with some of my thoughts and how I got to that, how we arrived. So this side comes out on both sides. You'll see right over here. I can't show you the bottom, unfortunately, but I can show you the back. There we go. So you'll see right there. It's basically all the contents. You do get this pouch. It's really, really neat. I do intend to use it this time. I haven't really been using it lately, or actually in any of my versions. What's cool is that this little flap right over here lets you charge the controller. So it acts like a mount, which is neat. I think it's neat. And you have all the different little like buttons and stuff like that. Anywho, so you can see all the stuff you can connect. I honestly have no clue what this is for, to be honest with you. Oh, it's to adjust the thumbstick. Interesting. All right, so here we are. We're gonna open it, and there you go. Right there. This is what you're greeted with. This is what you're greeted with. This is so elegant to me. Now, ignore the damage. I did that earlier because I wasn't paying attention to after I unboxed and put everything back in. So I did damage that. Normally that would look more like this, nice and whatever, but I messed up. I wasn't paying attention. So says the guy who takes care of all of his stuff. I was having a rough morning. Everything just stopped working, and well, here I am again about 12 hours later trying to record this again. So you take out the pouch, and I'm actually gonna put that right over here so you can see it in frame. And here's the box. You look at this and you probably know that there's something back here. So you can usually yank that out, right? And that's what we're gonna do. So in here, there's a cable, and it's a USB-A to USB-C cable. This is how you charge the controller and connect it. Also, this is the cable that you connect to any kind of power source, or let's say the Xbox, which I have right over here. You can see my PS5, but you connect it to the Xbox, and that cable can then be connected right over here. See, look, I can close it so that it doesn't damage. You can open it, and you connect the USB-C there, and then that's how you use this to charge your controller. So you can actually just leave it in here and then just take it out, and you'll rarely get dust and stuff like that. Anywho, well, it just came off, but we'll leave that there because I actually have a couple of those cables. I'm in no hurry to like take that one out. I'd rather just leave it in the box at this point. Then it comes with this stuff right over here. I'm gonna try to not open or damage it while opening. It's gonna be an Elite Series instruction manual and product registration guide as well. So all the documentation is neatly folded so that it doesn't get damaged for people like me who like to really take care of their own their boxes. I actually have like a tote of boxes of open stuff or stuff that I'm actively using. Like I have the box for both of my consoles over here put away. I have the box for, there's a, you can't see it actually, but my Guile statue over there. I have all my Dead by Daylight statue boxes. All of that stuff I have, it's still nicely preserved. So this is when I mess it up, and you can see this is what I did, and then I put this part over here over it, so that's how it damages. I just wasn't paying attention. I was a little flustered with the morning that I was having because I honestly expected to get so much work done, and I just didn't. Anywho, let's pop this guy over here, and then we're gonna start opening this. So you only have one tab. It's a very nice tab to pull on, or like zipper to pull on. It feels good. Honestly, the entire case feels high quality. Like all of it. It feels durable. You can tie it to something if you want to, if you're one of those people that, you know, have a reason to tie it. If you have a reason to tie it, you can tie it. Maybe you can attach like a hook to your table and then you just slide it in, or whatever else you can come up with, like putting in like a lanyard or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's open it. Extremely satisfying sound. And there it is. Let's open it over here for you. So this is probably, not probably, this is where you store your USB cable, but you can actually put more stuff in here if you want. It's pretty spacious in there, to be real with you. But so apparently this is for adjusting the thumbstick. I've never actually had to or realize that you can, so I got to look into this a little bit more because I don't know. You'll see some recesses right over here. This is in case for whatever reason, I don't know why, but for whatever reason you decide you don't want to use the paddles. The paddles are all in the back. I'm gonna have to be careful when I show this to you. Unfortunately, this is a serialized product, so I don't want to like put out the serial number for the YouTube universe to see. You get an optional of this D-pad, or I forgot what these are called, like the, floating sticks right over here. You get 4 additional thumbsticks, and I'll explain how that works. So we're gonna remove that. We're gonna look at that. It's very pretty. It feels nice. So here's the part where I'm gonna say you're not gonna feel or see my initial reaction, but when I picked this up, it felt different. Now keep in mind, it's been no more than a month since I've held a Series 2 Elite controller, and I've been holding a Series 2 Elite controller for 2 years, because it's been out for about 2 years now. And I know that for reasons that I'll disclose later at the end of the video, but something about it feels different. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. The buttons sound nicer. I wish I had the other one to compare it to, but I don't. But something feels different. And I can't tell you what it is. It feels good. It feels better. I remember the Series 1 controller, and it's definitely a larger, heavier controller. So this one actually feels a little bit better in hands. Anywho, so I'm gonna pop this over here. We're gonna yank out some of these sticks. So actually, I don't need to bring out the other one, but you're gonna see that I can just pop out the little thumbstick right off of that because it's all magnetic, and you may be able to see some of the differences with the ridges and stuff. So you see, in case you want a different feel, maybe you want something smooth versus a bit more textured. I personally prefer textured, but some people might want smooth. So you have smooth options, and it's important to note the distance of that little metallic part. There's a shorter distance on the one that comes in the controller already connected versus the one that I just pulled out from. I don't know if you can tell, but trust me when I say it is in fact shorter. There's a longer stem here. There we go, stem, that's what we're gonna call it. Then you have these two over here, which are both extremely different, and we're gonna yank out the one that I just popped into the controller for almost no reason, because I'm going to show you these. So now you have this one. It's kind of like a different texture, gives you the opportunity to feel out something. It's also outwards. There's a word for it. It's like concave. No, the other one, I don't know. I all that schooling and I always forget the differences. But anyway, someone I'm sure is going to correct me in the comments. The distance is exactly the same on the stems. So that's important to note as well. Right? It's exactly the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So they're kind of like mirrored. The only difference is maybe you want one on one finger and one on the other. Maybe you want this on the right, because that's almost like what it suggests by putting the left and the right here. And it might be easier to use this on the right. Everybody's different, and you'd be surprised. Actually, with my Series 1 controller, it was different the way that I did it. Anywho, so we're gonna pop that there. And then I'm gonna do this for a little bit more light. Give me a second, just hang out right there. Hey, I got light. And then we have this one, which is exactly the same up top. So you're saying, why would they pack a third one? I guess it's not bad to have a third one in case you lose it or something like that. Here's the reason. You can see that the stem is widely longer. When I say widely longer, I mean intensely longer. I wish that little focus thing wouldn't happen, but you know, can't have everything. I'll try to fix that later and do some kind of manual focus going forward. I'll keep learning, guys, I promise. I'm learning to make these videos better and better. Anywho, believe it or not, with the Series 1 controller, I actually played like that. I had, for my left one, the longer one, and then a shorter one on the right one. And it was helpful for me. Now, admittedly, this one's even longer than the one that came with the Series 1 controller. I wouldn't use this now for most of the games I play, but this could be extremely useful in like flight games. I used to play a lot of Elite Dangerous, and this feels like a game that would benefit with this controller, this little like addition right over here. Maybe Star Wars Squadrons would be another one. Really neat game if you guys haven't played it. It's very well done, pretty straightforward. But yeah, there we are. And then here's a little flap I told you about. 1 second, sorry. It's that little flap right there. So right there, you just connect the controller and it would charge it. You can just rip this out if you want, or you can leave it for what it's there for, which is to protect the connections. You don't want to damage those connections over time. And then yeah, once you're done, you just pop it here. You could leave it open as is, or you could just close it like that, or even zip it up, and you would have the cable again connected through here on this little flap right over here, and it would be charging. Give me a second while I try to off camera. You can, well, sort of off camera, right? Anyway, so right over here, you can kind of see some of the paddles. I'm trying to show it as best as I can and how they look like. I primarily use these. I almost never touch the triggers. So these guys right over here. And I definitely, essentially 99.9% never touch the bumpers because of these, because it's just better than bumpers in my opinion. So my bumpers on these Elite controllers last even longer than I guess they would. Yeah, there they are. And then you have adjustments right over here for travel. And I believe it's like how much the actuation, how much travel you need for actuation. And I think that's for the paddles, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me in the in the comment section. Anyway, so right here we have the Series X controller, and then we have the Series 2 Elite controller. This is an expensive controller. Let me quickly look up the price while I have a chance. 1 second, because I should have done this research before. And honestly, I've had no reason to really like remember the price. It's been on sale a couple times. So the price is $180. Well, when I got it, it was $180. I think actually now it's at a reduced price. Let me see, is that correct? So it seems like it's at a reduced price at $140, but when I got it, it was $180. Seeing that it's an expensive controller, dare I say, not dare I say, but it is a pricey controller. It's definitely a premium product. I did buy a warranty with it. I didn't do it with the Elite 1, but I definitely did it with the Elite 2. Now, my Elite 1 controller lasted like a good 2 years of heavy use. I'm 100% a power user when it comes to these things. I'm in the extreme end of user. Like on the complete extreme, almost like you would never believe it, end of user. I put so many hours on that controller, and that was back when I first started streaming on Twitch. And a lot of you saw how long. I mean, I did a 24-hour stream once. So that was 24 hours of me using that controller, literally nonstop. But when the Elite 2 came out, I pre-ordered it and I got it on day one. Now, the Elite 1, I did start to get some issues with the sticks after like 2 years of heavy, and I repeat, heavy usage. There was like a dead zone. I didn't really have stick drift as much as I had dead zones. There was an extremely slight stick drift that I had that was noticeable when I would play things like Overwatch back in the day. But for the most part, the real issue is that the dead zone had increased. I don't know if I want to say substantially, but it increased a lot. With the Elite Series 2, I bought the warranty right away. Love the controller out of the box. It feels way better to hold and even use than the Elite Series 1, but out of the box, the B button was hit or miss. It would work sometimes and it wouldn't work other times. I would press it and it really wasn't a matter of how hard I pressed it, it just didn't work. It just didn't register for whatever reason, and I don't know why. Outside of that, the rest of it was fine, and I can get a little lazy sometimes, and I probably should have just exchanged it on the spot, but I didn't. A year later, less than a year later, maybe almost a year later, I'm going to say almost a year later, I started to get noticeable stick drift. Stick drift to the point where when I'm playing Dead by Daylight, I'm watching my survivor just moving in a direction. Now, if you play Dead by Daylight, you know that looping efficiently is extremely important, and how much distance you can put between you and the killer as a survivor is extremely important, because the killer is always faster than you. So if they're following you perfectly, then you have to be literally perfect yourself. And unfortunately, I would find myself often kind of like running into walls or not being able to vault or getting a slow vault and things like that because there was genuine noticeable stick drift. I think I drifted to the right substantially, and that's unfortunate. Then I finally gave in because I hated literally losing matches because of a controller, and I went ahead and I exchanged it. And I got a Series 2 Elite controller for the second time. Now that one, and notice my choice of words, now that one had an immediate issue out of the box with the A button. Outside of that, there were no other issues, I think. There might have been one other issue, but I don't remember. But I can tell you the A button was even worse than the B button on the first controller I got at launch. So 1 year later, I get a replacement, and the A button is worse than the B button from my original controller. As lazy as I was, I went ahead and just kept using it, knowing that I could always just exchange it sometime later. And already now I'm 2 for 2. So at this point, even if I were to exchange it, chances are there would be an issue with the controller itself anyhow. So I decided to grit my teeth through it. And admittedly, I did, again, wish I exchanged it right away because I wouldn't have to pay for the warranty replacements. But the A button is way more important than the B button. It's a confirmation button. It's an action button for a lot of games. It's an extremely valuable and crucial button. You need this button way more than you'll ever need the B button. You know, like at worst case scenario, sometimes I'll try to back out of something and it would register, but that's not the end of the world. How many of us just spam back on literally any device ever, right? This was actually messing me up where I'm trying to press something to do something and it wouldn't happen. So I literally died, again, Dead by Daylight, because that's like my main game. I would literally die on like the hook because this wouldn't work, or I wouldn't be able to like use certain abilities and stuff. So I remapped the A button to the Y button over here. If you look at the Xbox, then that's the green button to the yellow button. This has kind of got like a little gray tone to it, which I like, but I have the colors memorized in my head. But for those of you that don't, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, yellow, green, red, blue. Anywho, in less than a year, I started to get stick drift again. So now not only is the A button unusable, literally actually genuinely unusable, the stick drift would go up this time. So I would start moving forward. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. And normally it's like off to an angle or something, like a dead zone towards the right. But I would start moving forward, so you'll just see my character sliding. Or like looking up if you're on a shooter or something. I got to the point where it was once again making my games unnecessarily difficult, and I stopped using it. I think 1 or 2 weeks later, I got my exchange, and here we are. Yes, you heard that. This is my third Elite Series 2 controller. My third one. I am now on my third one. So in other words, I spent $180 on the controller, and then I think it was like $30 or $40 for the warranty. They had raised the price since the Series 1 controller, because a lot of those came back to Best Buy. So they raised the warranty for the Series 2. By the time I did my first replacement, so from my first controller to my second, they raised the price again, this time to $60. So I had to pay for that replacement. So now that's $100 in warranty plus $180 for the controller. We're now at $280. I have now since replaced the controller again, and that's another $60. So let that sink in for a moment, that I basically spent the price of a console on this one controller just to have a working one. Now, some slight good news. Out of the box, I've already tested it. Literally no issue. I've tested it. Not a single button is problematic. What I have decided to do is I'm going to do a progress report on this exact controller. So we're going to do a progress report in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year. So quarterlies. We're going to be doing quarterly progress reports on this controller because I think it's going to be an important thing to look at until they eventually release a Series 3 controller. And that one should probably be better because it's going to be based off of this series, the Xbox Series X, Series S controller, also known as the Series controller. This is just called the Series controller. It's a newest version. Everything's better. All the buttons are better. There's like grips and stuff like that. And it's a way better controller. You can squeeze it and it's sturdy. If I grab the original Day 1 edition controller that came with the Xbox One in 2013, you'll hear it kind of like bend and flex and creak and stuff like that. Way more durable, way more sturdy, solidly built. The buttons feel better. Everything just feels better. And from the seams of it, everybody says that it also lasts longer too. Although I'm sure some people are still getting stick drift or something. I'm guessing. I actually don't know. Anywho, do I recommend this? For most people, honestly, no. I don't. Is it the best controller, the best playable experience you can get on Xbox? 100%. You will never experience gaming better on Xbox or PC for that matter, on controller, than with any other controller than this one. This is the best controller ever made for the experience. You are never going to experience a better controller as of right now. In the future, maybe. But right now, this is, in fact, in my opinion, the best controller ever made when it works. But that's the caveat. If you are unlucky and you get caught in this whole constantly replacing thing, it's just not worth it. At that point, I would recommend buying, if you want a cool, like, customized one, then grab one of the series controllers from Design Labs or one of the limited edition series controllers if you do not care about having paddles. I'm caught in this loop and I'm okay with it only because, one, I'm a power user, so it's expected for things to eventually kind of like stop working as well, even though literally none of my controllers before the Elite Series 1 and the Elite Series 2 controller 2 times, before that, I've never had issues with any of my controllers. So it's definitely something to these Elite controllers. But I am a power user. I'm like the extreme end of users when it comes to this whole thing. Anywho, if you are a money is not a problem, then yeah, just get this. You're not going to have a better experience. Be okay with spending money over and over. If you look at, you can almost look at it as a subscription. If you're okay with that. If money is not an issue, go for it. But if money is an issue, I just can't recommend it right now. I'm going to continue using it. I'm going to continue playing it. If it breaks again, I'm going to pay for the warranty again, because honestly, the experience is so good. It's so good. It's so good that I can't go back. It really is one of those things. I can't go back. I can't go back to any other controller. This is the only controller I can happily play. Any other controller just feels worse. It just feels like a suboptimal experience, and I just can't go back. I feel the same way about OLED TVs and OLED screens. Once you go OLED, dude, you can't go back. You just can't. Once you've had one, nothing feels as good. Genuinely. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll be doing quarterly reports on this. This video is starting to get a little long, but I'll be doing quarterly reports. So the next video on this, and something just happened to my... Okay. Hopefully that doesn't show up in the video, but something happened there. Anywho, going back, I'll be doing quarterly reports on this. Again, this video is getting a little long now. It was supposed to be shorter than this. At least the original recording was shorter. Sorry I didn't have the video uploaded earlier. I had so many, literally everything went wrong, and well, I'm here now. I'm gonna get this uploaded very soon, and I have a stream tonight as well. So somehow I gotta upload this and have a stream. I don't even think this video is going to make it in time for today, so it's probably going to be a tomorrow video. I'm sorry about that, guys, but I'm going to try to upload it right away. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and head out. Tell me what you think. Please like the video if you liked it. Comment below if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, any feedback, anything you want to know. If you want to know more about the controller, my thoughts, my opinions, what I've played it for, what I do with the mapping of the buttons, because I have my own mapping depending on the game sometimes. Kingdom Hearts 3, I completely changed the way my entire controller maps. Like, everything is bound differently than default, and you can do that with these controllers, and it's amazing. Honestly, this controller is genuinely amazing when it works. All right, I'm going to go ahead out. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Check me out on Twitch. I stream most nights of the week, Monday through Sundays, almost always. If not, sometimes I take 2 days off. I'm human. I got to rest. I start as late as 11 p.m. Eastern time. Follow me on Instagram or TikTok. I'm starting TikTok by the end of next week. That's the goal. That's the goal. Georgeazoid on all of these things. I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much. Always remember to be good, be great, be grand. Goodbye, later, Gator. And I'm really sorry that the video took this long, but you know, it's here now. I've had to record it twice. Bye.